In her past life, Lu Zhaozhao mistakenly believed in others and indirectly killed the man who loved her to the bone. On the first day of their blind date, Lu Zhaozhao decisively pulled Song Sinian to obtain a marriage certificate. She was busy slapping her face with trash, and when faced with her husband who had difficulty expressing emotions, Lu Zhaozhao only had one principle, which was to love him. What Lu Zhaozhao didn't know was that she was the only light of Song Sinian. He was pathological and paranoid, but he only dared not expose his true face to her. But paper couldn't contain the fire in the end. When everything about him was in front of her, Song Sinian tightly hugged her waist, his red eyes buried in her neck, and his voice timidly asked, "Zhaozhao, do you not want me anymore?" Keywords of the novel: pathological and sinister. The big shots in the Beijing circle are spoiled into small crying bags without pop-ups, sickly and sinister. Beijing circle tycoons are spoiled into small crying bags. Download the complete set of TXT, pathological and sinister. Beijing circle big boss is petted into a little cry bag. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Song Sinian, Shall We Get Married? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Song Sinian, Shall We Get Married? Late at night, a sound echoed from the spacious villa. Has the person taken care of it? She has already taken the food, and the medicine should be on the verge of taking effect. Remember to be more efficient, she won't have a chance to regret it when the time comes. Lying on the bedroom sofa, Lu Zhaozhao frowned and sat up in a daze. Still holding a photo frame of Song Sinian in my arms. The man's eyebrows and eyes are extremely beautiful. Despite being a pair of elegant golden-rimmed glasses, they exude a hint of coldness and luxury. She still couldn't believe that this man had died, and ironically, he died the day after their divorce. The scorching sensation on her body made her entire chest feel as if it had been burned by fire, and she was eager to seek relief. She stumbled up, feeling suffocated and unable to breathe, causing her to tightly grasp the collar. Suddenly, the door was pushed open from outside. Xiao Mo, standing at the door, was noticeably stunned when he saw Lu Zhaozhao still awake. How could you be at my house? Lu Zhaozhao furrowed his brow and squeezed his palm tightly, trying to keep himself awake. This person can be considered one of Song Sinian's acquaintances, but not a friend. He is gentle and has a very outgoing personality, but Song Sinian doesn't seem to like him very much. After returning from Song Sinian's funeral, she stayed at home alone and never opened the door to anyone. The only person with the key to this villa besides her is Song Sinian. Ha! Damn it! Xiao Mo rubbed his hair with his hands irritably. I didn't want to use strong ones, but I didn't expect you to be awake. His lewd gaze looked up and down at Lu Zhaozhao, who was breathing heavily, and his gaze fell on her scattered shirt. He has a bad appearance, and it's completely impossible to tell from his previous polite demeanor. Lu Zhaozhao took a step back and tightened his grip on the photo frame in his hand. Before I call the police, get out of my house right away. Xiao Mo sneered, her narrow and long eyes carrying a hint of malice slowly approaching her. Do you think you still have a choice? I advise you to obediently follow. Ah! Before he could finish speaking, Lu Zhaozhao smashed his forehead with a picture frame. Taking advantage of Xiao Mo's lack of reaction, she immediately ran towards the corner of the stairs. But at the end of the corridor, I saw a familiar figure, Xiao Jinglan, the stepmother of Song Sinian. The person who treated her the best in the Song family before. Did she come here because she was worried? Aunt Xiao, hurry. Run. Xiao Mo, he. Before Lu Zhaozhao could finish speaking, a cold dagger pressed against her neck. Her eyes widened in disbelief as she looked at Xiao Jinglan, realizing that she was with Xiao Mo. Xiao Jinglan scolded Xiao Mo, who was slowly walking in the darkness, I can't do this little thing well. Why did I let her run away? If it weren't for me not leaving yet, the matter would have been exposed. Xiao Mo covered his head, which was covered in blood from being smashed, and furrowed his brows. "You're okay to say that, not that you said the medicine will take effect quickly, but why is she still awake now? Why?" Lu Zhaozhao's slightly desperate voice was particularly prominent in the open and quiet corridor. Xiao Jinglan looked at her appearance but sneered, "Why? It's because Song Sinian left all his wealth to your ex-wife." "How could?" Lu Zhaozhao's eyes trembled slightly. "That man married her for 3 years, never even touching her, and finally inexplicably gave her a divorce agreement. Why did he leave all his property to her?" Xiao Jinglan looked at her appearance with a smug curl on her lips and said, "You don't know how much he loves you, do you? Yes, that kind of monster that can't even control its basic expression. How could someone love him? Ha ha ha." Lu Zhaozhao seemed to suddenly understand something. "It's you. It's always you." She treated her well in the Song family, and all her advice was directed towards Song Sinian. You're pretty smart." Xiao Jinglan's expression suddenly became gloomy. "Thanks to you, that child could feel the feeling of being disliked by the person they love the most." She suddenly approached Lu Zhaozhao gently and said word by word, "You probably don't know yet, that child had a very serious depression before." Bang! The last rational string in Lu Zhaozhao's mind collapsed in an instant. It was her. Who killed Song Sinian? Unable to forgive. How much did that man suffer in the past 3 years? The suffocating feeling swept over her, and the excruciating pain that spread to all her limbs dragged her into an endless abyss of despair. She suddenly pounced on Xiao Jinglan, holding her and slamming down the stairs. "Song Sinian, I'm sorry. I'm afraid I won't have the chance to repay in this lifetime. If there is a next life, the next life will definitely love you well, Miss Lu. Miss Lu, wake up." Lu Zhaozhao faintly heard someone calling her. Is she still alive? She slowly opened her eyes, and the warm sunlight was a bit harsh. She instinctively raised her hand to cover her forehead, but when she saw the man across from her, she froze. Yes, Song Sinian. His cold and handsome features were as distant and indifferent as in memory, and his cold-colored suit complemented his extremely white skin. I don't know if it's due to being exposed to sunlight, but his already clear and cold breath has added a touch of warmth. It seems that she is really dead. How else would I have seen Song Sinian? Upon this thought, Lu Zhaozhao's aggrieved tears flowed down his eyes like broken beads. Song Sinian and Zhao Shi standing behind him seemed to have never expected that Lu Zhaozhao would react in this way. "If you don't like it, don't force it." Song Sinian's voice was low, like a layer of mist. His golden-framed glasses on the bridge of his nose flashed a few cold dimly in the afterglow outside the window. He spoke and rushed to land. Zhao Zhao nodded, stood up, and was about to leave. "Don't leave." Lu Zhaozhao suddenly stood up and bumped into the table. The knife that was originally placed on the table slipped off, and the sharp serrations grazed the back of her hand evenly. Hiss. Unexpectedly. There is pain. Lu Zhaozhao looked at the blood droplets appearing on the back of his hand and was completely stunned. Isn't she dreaming? This is the real world. She instinctively glanced at the phone on the table, and the date on the calendar was clearly 3 years ago. It was the day she first met Song Sinian. In his previous life, Song Sinian was notorious for his bloodthirsty and abnormal behavior, and no woman dared to approach him, let alone marry him. And she was forced to come for a blind date because the Lu family needed cash flow. So their first meeting was not a pleasant one, and Song Sinian also left in such a hurry. It will be 2 months since we meet again. No, absolutely no. He can't just leave like this. With this thought in mind, Lu Zhaozhao tightly grasped Song Sinian's sleeve. You're injured, a cold voice pulled her thoughts back. Lu Zhaozhao blinked and looked at Song Sinian standing in place, unsure of what to say. He may have met her for the first time, but she has been married to him for 3 years, also divorced. Suddenly, her slender hand landed on her cheek, and her thumb lightly brushed against the tears in her eyes. The warm touch made Lu Zhaozhao feel a bit dazed. "Don't cry, I'll take you to get bandaged." His voice remained as cold as ever, but he bent down to try to align with her gaze. Is it her illusion? She actually felt that Song Sinian treated her differently from his previous life. It seems very gentle to her. She was dizzy and was taken directly to the back seat of the car by Song Sinian. There was an emergency medical kit in the car, and the wound on her hand was quickly properly treated by him. Lu Zhaozhao looked at the gauze on his hand and then at Song Sinian, who was packing the medicine box next to him. He decisively said, "Song Sinian, shall we get married?" End of this chapter. Chapter 2. She's going to be a domineering and domineering villain. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. She's going to be a domineering and domineering villain. Song Sinian's body suddenly stiffened for a moment, and his gaze gradually darkened. What are you saying? His expressionless face showed no emotion, but the light in his eyes was clear and cold. Lu Zhaozhao's scalp suddenly felt a bit numb. How could Song Sinian possibly agree to such an outrageous thing as flash marriage? In their previous life, they had known each other for a full 2 years before being urged by Xiao Jinglan to obtain a marriage certificate. In this life, we cannot repeat the same mistakes. If she wants to save Song Sinian, she must turn passivity into initiative. Thinking of this, Lu Zhaozhao took a deep breath and directly grasped Song Sinian's hand. I fell in love with you at first sight. I want to marry you. Lu Zhaozhao saw that he was silent, so he could only grit his head and gently shake his sleeve. Please, please marry me. In the following words, her voice became quieter and quieter, but her ears and cheeks became redder and redder. I really lost my life. This is the first time she has acted coquettishly in front of Song Sinian. If he doesn't agree, then get married. Ha! So easily agreed. Lu Zhaozhao couldn't believe her ears. Her surprised eyes widened. She didn't have any hallucinations just now, did she? Seeing Lu Zhaozhao stunned, Song Sinian turned his head to look at Zhao Shi sitting in the driver's seat and said calmly, "Go to the Civil Affairs Bureau." Lu Zhaozhao became a bit flustered for a moment. I. Song Sinian held her small hand and furrowed his brow slightly. "Don't move your hands around," he said. "Oh, good." Lu Zhaozhao obediently fell down in an instant. She used to know that Song Sinian's efficiency was high, but that's too high, isn't it? Is it your first time going on a blind date and getting a certificate on the spot? Song Sinian raised his eyes and glanced at her with a slightly scrutinizing gaze. He spoke slowly, "Are you not satisfied?" Lu Zhaozhao's sweat fell from his gaze, and she immediately shook her head. "No, I'm very satisfied. But it seems like I didn't bring all my documents." At this moment, Zhao Shi, who was driving, suddenly spoke up and said, "Miss Lu, don't worry. You can supplement these documents later. As long as you bring your ID card, you can go with your husband to collect it first." He spoke politely and nodded at her through the rearview mirror. Lu Zhaozhao is completely confused now. Although she took the initiative, how can she feel more like Song Sinian and others are afraid of her running away? Illusion, it must be an illusion. Until he obtained his marriage certificate, Lu Zhaozhao had not fully recovered from this illusion. Looking at the photo on his marriage certificate, Lu Zhaozhao's ear still echoed with Song Sinian's words, "Go back and tidy up. Tomorrow, I'll have the driver pick you up." Today is really the day that Song Sinian has talked to her the most in years. She held her marriage certificate in a daze and walked towards the entrance of the community. In the car parked by the roadside in the distance, the man was propping his chin and quietly watching the beautiful figure disappear from sight through the window. The interior of the car is particularly quiet, with only the flashing indicator lights emitting a gentle, click-click sound. Sir, why do you need to obtain a certificate from Miss Lu? Zhao Shi looked up towards the direction where Lu Zhaozhao had disappeared, with a hint of doubt flashing in his eyes. What is Miss Lu's exceptional ability to have her husband collect the certificate on the spot after meeting her? I had no plans to get married before. And even after personally bandaged Lu Zhaozhao just now, he still held her hand tightly without letting go. It seems that I am very satisfied with her. Song Sinian didn't even lift his eyelids and said calmly, she said she fell in love with me at first sight and wants to marry me. Zhao Shi's mouth twitched, and he was not deaf. Just now, the two of them were right under his nose. How could he not hear it? Sir. Zhao Shi hesitated for a moment, shouldn't you believe it? Song Sinian finally withdrew his gaze and lazily gave him a serious look, blurting out, I don't believe it. Now Zhao Shi's eyebrows furrowed even tighter. So, sir, why do you still want to marry Miss Lu? Why? Song Sinian murmured these three words, his eyelids slightly drooping, and he gently twisted his fingertips, as if there was still the same touch as before. Soft and hot, with a good feel. Moreover, she is not afraid of him at all. I don't hate him touching her either. His fist suddenly clenched, and this feeling was quite good. Zhao Shi saw that Song Sinian didn't speak up and asked again, is this the first time Mr. Lu has met? Song Sinian's black eyes drooped as he instinctively rubbed the colorful braided hair loop on his wrist, as if it had been worn out for too long. After so many years, she is still as cute as when she was a child, so cute that people can't help but want to grab her. Faced with Song Sinian's silence, Zhao Shi instantly understood. It's definitely not the first time. Their husband has always been straightforward and dislikes lying. The meaning of silence is self-evident. Miss Lu Zhaozhao doesn't know what charm she has, but she can shake the deep-sea iceberg of her husband's family. It seems that we need to be careful in the future because the Lu couple went on a trip to another city but haven't returned yet. There is no resistance from Lu Zhaozhao's side. The next morning, Lu Zhaozhao cleaned up briefly and was picked up by the driver sent by Song Sinian. When she arrived at the place, she was stunned instead. This is Song Sinian's villa. In her previous life, even if she had obtained a certificate with Song Sinian, she had lived in the Song family's old house for over a year before having the opportunity to live here. Now she can actually live here directly. Has the future changed because of her different choices in this life? Lu Zhaozhao walked in a bit confused, and as soon as he arrived at the door, he saw a familiar figure. The young master has already instructed to prepare a comfortable guest room for Miss Lu. A familiar voice without any changes in the lines. She is Liao Yan, the female butler of the Song Sinian family. It is said that she was already in the Song family when Song Sinian was still young. Even in her previous life, she had been married to Song Sinian for over a year, and this woman still called her Miss Lu. She relied on her seniority in the Song family and often collaborated with other servants to torture her. Because Song Sinian rarely comes back, they even intentionally give her spoiled food, lock her in the storage room, and even lock her up on an open balcony without any shelter all night on rainy days. Now think about it, every time she suffered from mental and physical torture in her previous life, Xiao Jinglan was able to appear accurately at the appropriate time, which is indeed very suspicious. The outdoor sunshine was brilliant, shining brightly on the floor, and Liao Yan's wrinkled face became even more gloomy. Lu Zhaozhao threw his luggage aside and slightly raised his chin, staring at her with a hint of sharpness between his eyebrows and eyes. Song Sinian and I are newlyweds. What do you mean by this arrangement? Liao Yan's disdainful gaze swept over Lu Zhaozhao, and she pretended to be unclear, saying, all of our arrangements were made according to the young master's requirements. If Miss Lu has any dissatisfaction, she can directly tell the young master. Lu Zhaozhao glanced up at the camera in the corner of the living room, but there was no response from it. Although she came to Song Sinian's residence at different times, Liao Yan's actions did not change. In her previous life, she knew she was coming and deliberately turned off the surveillance cameras at home. In front of other servants, she threw all her luggage out as scrap and even had her clothes torn apart. She was devastated at that time due to the fake identity of the Lu family and unbearable rumors. Originally, Song Sinian made her happy to move to his residence, but on the first day of her arrival, she encountered this kind of thing and fell ill, exhausted both physically and mentally. From that day on, the servants of the Song family predicted that she was a soft persimmon and dared not expose the matter to Song Sinian, which made it even worse for her. In her previous life, she was brainwashed by Xiao Jinglan, thinking that Song Sinian liked a dignified and charming lady who would not cause him any trouble, so she endured everything now. She can't bear it anymore. She's going to be a domineering villain. End of this chapter. Listen carefully to chapter 3 and you can go. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Listen carefully to chapter 3 and you can go. Since that's the case, I'll just call and talk to my dear husband directly. Lu Zhaozhao said, taking out his phone to dial Song Sinian's phone number. Liao Yan was indeed flustered, and she quickly stepped forward to stop her. Young master should be working now. He hates being disturbed the most. Miss Lu, it's better not to touch this mold. She said this with a hint of warning. Lu Zhaozhao sneered lightly and hooked her hand, gesturing for her to come over a little. Liao Yan didn't know why, so she instinctively approached. With a loud bang, a crisp slap echoed throughout the living room. The other servants present were all stunned, they didn't expect Lu Zhaozhao to take action. And it was the butler who played. Liao Yan sat down on the ground and glared angrily at Zhaozhao, "Are you crazy?" Lu Zhaozhao looked coldly at Liao Yan and sneered, "I also did it according to my husband's requirements. If you have any dissatisfaction with my behavior, you can directly raise it with my husband." Liao Yan has been with Song Sinian for so long, how could she not know that he has always been indifferent to such small matters, and even if she said so, she would be ignored. She had heard from Xiao Jinglan before that Lu Zhaozhao was just a marriage alliance partner, and only met once to obtain evidence. Song Sinian probably had no feelings for her either. I originally wanted to give this little girl a thumbs up, so that she would behave well in the future, but I didn't expect her to be so disrespectful. Liao Yan clenched her fists, her already wrinkled face tinged with a hint of resentment. "I am the person sent by madam to take care of the young master. You are doing this." "Ah." Before she could finish speaking, Lu Zhaozhao slapped her face hard again. "Not to mention Xiao Jinglan, it's okay. When it comes to that woman, Lu Zhaozhao's anger can't be suppressed." She was just wondering if Liao Yan and Xiao Jinglan were in the same group, but now she's really hitting the nail. She must have been inspired by Xiao Jinglan. This woman let everyone bully and insult her, but she pretended to be a kind and compassionate Virgin Mary in front of her alone. To control her and harm Song Sinian with this thought in mind, Lu Zhaozhao stopped pretending and grabbed Liao Yan, bowing left and right, greeting her in the face. "You. Ah. Pop. Cheap. Ah. Pop. Ah. Pop." The other servants were all stunned by Lu Zhaozhao's fierce side, and those who had originally intended to go up and fight were all stunned. Watching helplessly as Liao Yan was turned into a pig's head by Lu Zhaozhao. For a moment, Lu Zhaozhao withdrew his hand and sat back on the sofa, glancing at the servants present. "I am now the wife of the Song family, and even if you don't like her, you have to hold it back for me. It's best not to let me see it, otherwise she will be your fate." The other servants who were in cahoots with Liao Yan exchanged glances privately. "Miss Lu, you have only just arrived at the Song family on your first day and are so domineering. I'm afraid you won't stay in the Song family for long. Miss Lu, we can't accept it. We won't serve such a violent and vicious woman like you." If Miss Lu's actions were to be passed on to the young master, I'm afraid Mrs. Lu's position would also be very stable. Pop pop pop. Listening to the words of the servants in front of him, Lu Zhaozhao couldn't help but clap his hands and said, "You said it well. Since you have so much backbone, I'll do it for you. From today on, you'll be fired." Her tone was light and ethereal, but it stunned all the servants present. "You don't have this qualification." Liao Yan was the first to growl softly, but her swollen and red face was instantly contorted due to the pain. Lu Zhaozhao sneered, and Sen's cold gaze glanced at her. "Whether you admit it or not, I am Song Sinian's legal wife. I still have the ability to dismiss you servants." After saying these words, Lu Zhaozhao waved his hand as if he wanted to drive away the annoying flies. "All right, listen carefully, and you can get out." The other servants immediately panicked. Working as servants in the Song family was easy, with high salaries, and most importantly, the master didn't ask them at all. Liao Yan gritted her teeth in dissatisfaction and said, "You will regret it. On your first day at the Song family, you kicked out all the servants. How do you think the outside world would comment on you as a newlywed wife?" The corner of Lu Zhaozhao's mouth suddenly curled up, but a smile did not blend into his eyes. "Do you think I would care? With the financial resources of the Song family, would there be a shortage of several servants?" She slowly stood up and stared down at Liao Yan. "On the contrary, you servants who were kicked out and had dirty mouths, who would be willing to hire you?" This is definitely a bolt from the blue for the servants present. They initially relied on Liao Yan's seniority and were valued by Xiao Jinglan, so they obeyed her and collectively bullied their newly arrived wife. But they all forgot that no matter how old and valued Liao Yan was, she was just a servant. Lu Zhaozhao looked at them one by one, scared like quails. He shrunk his neck and didn't dare to look at her. He chuckled lightly and returned to the room. She thought it was because of her identity that the servants of the Song family looked down upon her. I didn't expect Xiao Jinglan's pen to be in the middle. She only found out after knowing Song Sinian for 2 years in her previous life that she was not the biological child of the Lu family, and the Lu couple had long known about it, so they didn't care about Song Sinian's bad reputation and asked her to get engaged to him. Even after the real daughter of the Lu family returned 2 years later, they firmly let her, the fake daughter, fulfill their engagement because she and Song Sinian didn't get along well. On the second day after she and Song Sinian obtained their certificates, the Lu family directly announced her identity as an adopted daughter, in order to pave the way for their true daughter. She was ridiculed heavily in the Song family for her false identity. But the Lu family didn't care about her life or death at all. They just sold her to Song Sinian and exchanged a contract. Since she has been reborn, she will not be manipulated like in the previous life. To take the initiative, one must first have chips. Closing the door, Lu Zhaozhao immediately walked to the sofa in the room and picked up the computer. If she remembers correctly, there was a nationwide auction recently. Because this auction resulted in exorbitant prices for famous paintings. But her focus was not on these famous paintings, but on a painting called Remembrance, which was sold for only 100,000 yuan at the time. But not long after, the painter passed away. As the last masterpiece of the painter, Remembrance has increased in price by 10 times. These were also the news she learned from other wealthy ladies chatting when she was at the Song family. If she can win that painting at the auction, she will have start-up funds. Now it's time to find a way to get the auction tickets. Lu Zhaozhao hugged the computer and leaned directly against the sofa. Her hand, which had hit Liao Yan, was still slightly swollen. She looked at her slightly swollen palm and then looked at the quiet and empty room. She couldn't help but let out a light sigh. It was very enjoyable just now, but she stayed in Song Sinian's room without his consent, and she didn't know what he would say when he came back at night. Lu Zhaozhao's watery eyes narrowed. It seems that only that method can be used. End of this chapter. What kind of way should she take the initiative in Chapter 4? You are listening at novelfull.audio. What kind of way should she take the initiative in Chapter 4? When Song Sinian returned to the villa, it was already completely dark. Peace Day is different, there is no servant at home. He changed his shoes and went up to the second floor, only to slow down when he saw a faint light at the door of the bedroom. Pushing open the door, the scene before him was somewhat unexpected. Under the dim yellow light, Lu Zhaozhao curled up on the sofa and fell asleep. Her hair, which was scattered on the side, still had some damp moisture. Just a little closer, you could smell the sweet aroma of orange on her body. And the taste of alcohol. Song Sinian's gaze swept around and happened to see 3 empty beer cans lying at the foot of the table. His eyebrows slightly raised, and from the information provided by Zhao Shi, he couldn't tell how much she loved drinking. Lu Zhaozhao, wake up. Song Si called out young. The person nestled on the sofa had no reaction. Song Sinian's eyes drooped, and under the dim yellow light, his golden-rimmed glasses on the bridge of his nose gleamed coldly. It's late autumn now, and the temperature during the day is okay. After nightfall, the cold can be clearly felt inside the room. She will definitely catch a cold the next day if she sleeps like this. Song Sinian raised his hand and lightly patted her shoulder, and his voice raised again, Lu Zhaozhao. The small figure curled up on the sofa finally had a reaction. Lu Zhaozhao opened his eyes in a secluded manner, his hazy gaze dazed at the sight of him, and his eyes instantly turned red. Her little hand extended toward Song Sinian, hooking him around the neck. The coolness of her fingertips fell on the back of his neck, causing Song Sinian to tremble slightly. Don't die, please. Her sobbing voice was not loud, but each sound pierced his heart like a delicate needle. Pungent, yet suffocating. This is the second time I've seen her cry. It seems like every time I see you, I see your tears. What should I do to stop you from crying? His tone was gentle, and his eyes were indifferent. Only when the lights flooded in his eyes could he see the clarity and restraint clearly. Lu Zhaozhao's red eyes blinked slightly, and the water vapor hanging on his eyelashes instantly dyed the tail of his eyes red. You. She timidly sniffed and said, give me a kiss. If it's an illusion, she can have it no matter how vain the wish is. The shadow in front of her fell, blocking her sight, but the warm touch made all her senses sharp. The closeness that Lu Zhaozhao had never had in his previous life rolled up his already somewhat confused thoughts. Her lotus arm held his neck tightly and responded to him with all her might. Their breath blended between sizes, and the sweet orange flavor seemed to be absent, making his heart tingle slightly. How to describe his current feelings? My heart seems to be completely filled with an inexplicable emotion, a sense of satisfaction that has never been experienced before. Pu tong, pu tong. The strong heartbeat sounds seem insignificant in the worsening breathing sounds. He wants more, whether it's the soft waist that falls in the palm of the hand, or the fair skin that can leave marks with gentle force. Everything ignited his deep-seated desire for destruction. I originally didn't want her to cry, but now I want to personally make her cry. It hurts. Suddenly, a sound rang out in the quiet room. The figure prostrated on the sofa suddenly stiffened for a moment, and he glanced at the small hand that was clasped with his 5 fingers. I only realized that the gauze on the back of her hand had been wet all along. Did she not pay attention while taking a shower? Song Sinian sat up, grabbed her little hand, and uncovered the gauze. As expected, the edge of the original wound had been soaked and turned white, but the middle part of the wound was even redder. It should be inflammation. Stay here, no running around, he said and stood up to go to the compartment. Lu Zhaozhao stood up from the sofa in a daze, his confused thoughts even more sluggish than usual due to alcohol. She touched the lips that had just been forcefully bullied by Song Sinian, feeling as if she had forgotten something very important. Suddenly, her little hand stopped on her lips. The tingling sensation on the back of her hand instantly gave her a sense of authenticity. She just. After realizing it, Lu Zhaozhao covered her mouth and asked Song Sinian for a kiss. Did you still succeed? Thinking of this, Lu Zhaozhao instantly turned red from head to toe. The wine I just drank now also woke up most of the time. She had originally planned to drink some beer and pretend to be drunk, telling Song Sinian about driving away the servant, and even pretending to be pitiful along the way. As a result, before we could talk about the servant, she kissed him first. How will she face Song Sinian later? How about pretending to sleep now? But applying the medicine later will definitely cause excruciating pain, she will definitely not be able to continue. As Lu Zhaozhao was thinking, Song Sinian walked over with a medicine box in hand. He took Lu Zhaozhao's small hand and without hesitation began to disinfect and apply medicine. I don't know if the wound on the back of his hand is too painful, but Lu Zhaozhao gritted his head and said, Mr. Song, inside. All the servants at home have been driven away by me. Song Sinian didn't even lift his eyelids and meticulously applied medicine to her small hands. I didn't even ask for a reason. Lu Zhaozhao raised an eyebrow with some confusion. Did she not express herself clearly? Others are okay to say, but that Liao Yan was sent by Xiao Jinglan. Song Sinian will give her some face, right? She stared at him for a long time without hesitation, but he still seemed to have no intention of speaking. Just when Lu Zhaozhao was about to give up, Song Sinian had just finished applying the ointment in his hand. He turned his gaze to Lu Zhaozhao and said, Are you worried that without a servant, our home will be in a mess? This can also be considered. But what she cares about is how Song Sinian views this matter. Song Sinian's gaze lightly brushed over her small face, and a faint voice rang out again in the room, You don't have to worry about this matter. Zhao Shi will arrange a new servant to come tomorrow. Is that all? Is it gone? Isn't he angry? Lu Zhaozhao's gaze toward Song Sinian was somewhat complicated. Are you not satisfied? Song Sinian tilted his head slightly and lifted his hand to tug at the loose necktie. The cool-colored shirt has 2 buttons, adding a touch of color to the warm-colored light. Lu Zhaozhao didn't understand why someone would look so abstinent and so lustful. She pursed her lips, lowered her head, and said, I'm not dissatisfied. I know that dismissing a servant requires at least going through you, the master, and this rule is You are already my wife, and your actions at home are the rules of this family. Song Sinian's faint words made Lu Zhaozhao's eyes couldn't help but brighten. She suddenly lifted her small face and looked at him, completely surprised that the meeting about dismissing the servant went so smoothly. She suddenly felt a little excited and would talk to Song Sinian about sleeping in the same room. What kind of way should she take the initiative? End of this chapter. The death you mentioned in chapter 5 should be in a physical sense, right? You are listening at novelfull.audio. The death you mentioned in chapter 5 should be in a physical sense, right? Lu Zhaozhao took a deep breath and said, in turn. Can I sleep on this sofa tonight? She remembers that in the previous life until her death, she and Song Sinian had never slept in the same room, let alone had any skin-to-skin relationship. When she first arrived, Liao Yan even said that Song Sinian asked her to stay in a guest room. It seems that if she doesn't take the initiative, she will have to stay alone in an empty room for the rest of her life. Song Sinian's eyebrows were raised inexplicably, and his gaze swept lightly over Lu Zhaozhao's small face. The sofa is uncomfortable, he said. His tone was plain and he couldn't hear any emotions, but Lu Zhaozhao vaguely felt that he was a bit unhappy when he said these words. Does he still not want to stay in the same room as her? He just kissed everyone. Why can't we sleep in the same room? How can she go any further with him if this continues? Although before Lu Zhaozhao's death, she heard Xiao Jinglan say that Song Sinian fell in love with her, she had no idea when she fell in love with her. In her previous life, she spent very little time with Song Sinian. So in this life, she must seize the time and strive to make him fall in love with her as soon as possible. Lu Zhaozhao clenched his fist, reached out and wrapped the blanket he had just prepared on his body, then lay shamelessly on the sofa. It's okay. I think this sofa is both big and soft, and I'm not big either. It's very suitable to lie here. The blanket on her body was originally not long, but when she suddenly rolled it up, it became even shorter. Her fair calves were completely exposed, hanging on the edge of the sofa. Under the dim yellow light, her round toes curled up slightly. Song Sinian sat beside Lu Zhaozhao, his gaze silently hanging down from his head. Suddenly, he gently closed his fingers and grasped her suspended ankle. Lu Zhaozhao's heart tightened as she felt a slight numbness in her touched ankle and her instep instantly straightened. Her entire heart was lifted up to her throat, jumping wildly with a thud. Fortunately, Song Sinian quickly released his empty grip. He slowly stood up and said, "This blanket is too thin, change to a new blanket." His light and ethereal tone fell in Lu Zhaozhao's ear, almost making her jump up like a carp. He agreed. Her watery eyes suddenly curved into a beautiful curve, smiling at Song Sinian and nodding repeatedly, "Mm. Thank you, Mr. Song." Song Sinian's body paused slightly, and he gave Lu Zhaozhao a deep glance before turning around and walking to the bathroom. It wasn't until the moment he closed the bathroom door that he leaned against it in frustration. What exactly was he doing just now? Do you still expect her to be willing to sleep in the same bed as him? I was afraid of scaring her away, so I planned to slowly approach her and try to surround her with marriage. But she took the initiative to marry him and jumped in. His disrupted plan was repeatedly shattered by this little woman, and he just wanted to hold on to her tightly and let her be by his side. But he has changed his mind now. He wants to be greedy and want more. I want her. Song Sinian thought of the moment when she had just kissed him in a daze, with a mournful expression and a slight frown. Is it possible that the real reason she married him was because the man she liked died? After a moment of contemplation, he picked up his phone and sent a message to Zhao Shi, "Investigate my wife's previous relationship, with a focus on those who have already died." After editing the message, he looked at the screen and added, "Even those who are about to die count." He looked at the dialog box on his phone, where Zhao Shi's message disappeared from typing and then changed back to typing. "It took a long time for news to arrive, sir. What you're talking about is probably in a physical sense, right?" Song Sinian's eyebrows slightly raised and he casually replied, "Otherwise." Zhao Shi responded quickly, "Okay, sir, I will handle it as soon as possible." Song Sinian lightly tapped his fingertips on his phone screen and added, "Arrange for a new servant to come to the villa, choose a more sensible butler, and explain it to her. My wife can give her whatever she wants without any limit." The other end of the phone started typing repeatedly, and Song Sinian glanced at it before throwing it aside. He needs to take a good shower and calm down now. Since seeing Lu Zhaozhao in the bedroom just now, his heart has been inexplicably restless. Is it a side effect of the new drug? It has never appeared before. It seems that he needs to have his body re-examined. Song Sinian turned on the faucet and the cool water fell into his palm. Suddenly, he was taken aback and thought of the ankle he had just held in his palm. Indeed, everything is small everywhere. Outside the window, the night is getting darker. The old house of the Song family is brightly lit. "Madam, every word I say is true. That stinky girl used her marriage to the young master to act recklessly at home." Liao Yen covered her swollen cheek and sat on the nearby sofa, adding fuel and vinegar, accusing Lu Zhaozhao of her actions. Xiao Jinglan's eyes couldn't help but squint, still digesting the news she had just received. That woman named Lu Zhaozhao is quite capable. On the first day of meeting Song Sinian, she can make him willingly go and obtain the certificate. The next day, she moved to his residence, and it seemed that Song Sinian was very satisfied with her. If the two of them had children, wouldn't her previous plans have all come to nothing? She had been planning for so long. I thought that as long as the outside world knew that Song Sinian was a monster, no woman would be willing to marry him, but I didn't expect that there were still people who were not afraid of death. Xiao Jinglan lifted her eyelids slightly and glanced at Mr. Song sitting next to her. She said calmly, "Dad, don't blame Sinian for this. He rarely interacts with women in his daily life, and if he meets someone who feels good, he may marry them back home as soon as his mind gets hot. He didn't think so much about it." Mr. Song didn't say anything, just quietly picked up a cup of tea and savored it carefully. His motionless appearance made Xiao Jinglan somewhat panicked. "However, if this woman really has any bad intentions, my mother is really worried." She deliberately paused for a moment as she said these words, giving Liao Yan a look. Upon seeing this, Liao Yan nodded repeatedly and continued. Following Xiao Jinglan's words, Madam said, that Lu Zhaozhao was full of bad luck at first sight. On the first day he went home, he fired all the servants, indicating that he might do something bad to the young master. In fact, she doesn't care whether Lu Zhaozhao harms Song Sinian or not. As long as Xiao Jinglan supports her, she can talk as much as she wants. This kind of cover-up. Mr. Song placed the teacup in his hand on the table and looked up at Xiao Jinglan. "You've seen Sinian grow up since you were young, and you know his personality the best. Tomorrow morning, you can go to his residence to see. If it's really a girl with ulterior motives, help him deal with it." End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Her image is completely gone. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Her image is completely gone. "Okay, Dad, don't worry, I will definitely help Sinian handle it properly," said Xiao Jinglan, helping old Master Song add more tea. Although the Lu family cannot be compared to the Song family, the Lu family and his wife are also considered influential in their circle. The daughter of the Lu family has hardly ever appeared in the social circle. Some people say they love their daughter too much and don't want her to show her face, but really loving, how could they make her marry Song Sinian, who has such a bad reputation, just to win the Song family's contract? This Lu Zhaozhao is probably just a puppet. If she can be obedient, take her into your pocket. If you don't listen. Xiao Jinglan smiled at the thought. Just a little girl who has just started college, she has ways to make her obedient. She doesn't believe she can still escape from the palm of her hand. The next morning, in the morning, when Lu Zhaozhao woke up, Song Sinian was not in the room. She slowly got up from the sofa and only found out when she got her phone that it was already 9 o'clock in the morning. Lu Zhaozhao looked up at the big bed directly across from him, frowned, and jumped off the sofa. After a few steps, he rushed towards the bed. She tightly hugged the blanket and rolled a few times on the bed. The bed sheets and pillows are full of the scent of Song Sinian, which is a trace of his existence. It's great that he's still alive. Are you comfortable in bed? Suddenly, a faint voice rang out in the room. Lu Zhaozhao's rolling figure suddenly paused and froze on the spot. Song Sinian didn't leave yet. It's over, her image is completely gone. As soon as Song Sinian saw her behavior that was just like a rogue, her toes were so embarrassed that she could dig out 3 bedrooms and 1 living room on the ground. Lu Zhaozhao took a deep breath and gritted his scalp, revealing half of his small face from under the blanket. Mr. Song, why didn't you go to work?" Song Sinian gently wiped his wet hair with a towel in his hand, looked at her small face, and said word by word, "Zhao Shi said he will go to work later the next day after his wedding. He also said that newlywed husbands usually do this." Song Sinian spoke and sat by the bed. Although he didn't understand why he had to do it, if it was something that the husband had to do, then Lu Zhaozhao also had to do it. Lu Zhaozhao immediately got stuck. Zhao Shi said there's nothing wrong, but this situation is completely impossible for her and Song Sinian. She understands, but does he understand? The thought of this made Lu Zhaozhao even more headache-stricken. Last night, she lay on the sofa and searched for a lot of information related to depression. The most similar symptom to Song Sinian is expressive disorder. In short, he is unable to perceive and express his own or others' emotions. Due to the lack of emotions, people with affective disorders mainly focus on factual information from the external world, which can make them feel cold-blooded. In her past life, she had always felt that Song Sinian was so indifferent to her because he didn't like her, and she never thought he was sick. Lu Zhaozhao's watery eyes drooped, filled with heartache. Song Sinian's eyebrows slightly raised, and his gaze swept around her. Just now, she was happily rolling on the bed, but since he appeared, she seems to be not moving much. Do you not like him here? After a moment of contemplation, Song Sinian slowly stood up and said, I'm going to work now. You can sleep a little longer. Okay, Lu Zhaozhao responded with a muffled response while holding the blanket, and then there was no movement. Song Sinian naturally went to the neighboring cloakroom to change clothes. He had just closed the door when he heard a rustling sound coming from the bed. He gently twisted the door handle and through the slightly open crack, he saw Lu Zhaozhao rolling on the bed holding the blanket again. Song Sinian frowned slightly and closed the door again. She seems to really dislike him here. Song Sinian sat on the sofa in the closet, pondering for a moment, then picked up his nearby phone and edited a message before sending it over. Advance all work that requires business trips recently since she's not used to seeing him yet, he can go out for a few days. Lu Zhaozhao originally intended to wait in bed for Song Sinian to leave before getting up. But she slept too late yesterday, and sleeping on the sofa was uncomfortable. So when Song Sinian got dressed and came out of the closet, she was already lying in bed asleep. Song Sinian approached and looked at Lu Zhaozhao lying in bed, obediently asleep. His pitch-black eyes flashed with twinkling stars. He bent down and the backlit shadow fell, enveloping her whole body. He raised his hand and gently caressed her small face, causing the person in his sleep to suddenly move. Song Sinian felt a suffocation in his breath and was stunned as he stood still on the spot. But the next second, the person immersed in sleep rubbed her little face against his warm palm. Her personality hasn't changed much, no matter when she reaches out to her, she won't push him away. Even in my sleep when Lu Zhaozhao woke up again, it was almost noon. She changed into lightweight clothes and went downstairs. Madam, do you need to eat now? She had just reached the staircase on the first floor when she heard a gentle voice. Seeing Lu Zhaozhao's gaze, the person bowed respectfully towards her and said, I am the new butler, named Qian Hong. Madam, please let me know if you need anything. Qian Hong. Is the new butler actually her? She and Liao Yan are both elderly people from the Song family, but she is from Song Sinian's mother's side, so she has always looked down on Xiao Jinglan. She is also one of the few people who takes good care of her. Lu Zhaozhao chuckled lightly at Qian Hong and said, then I'll rely on the money steward from now on. Qian Hong was slightly stunned. Before she came, she had heard that Lu Zhaozhao had just walked in and dismissed all the servants. She thought the new lady was a difficult person to get along with, but her temper didn't seem as bad as she had imagined. Is it deliberately disguised? Qian Hong's vigilance naturally caught Lu Zhaozhao's eye. Her concern for Song Sinian is sincere, so it is only natural to be wary of her. It seems that it will take some time to win her over and align with her. Lu Zhaozhao hooked his lips and looked at Qian Hong with a light smile, I'm a bit hungry. Let's eat first. Okay, madam. As Qian Hong was about to leave, he saw a servant running over in a panic and saying, Manager Qian, Mrs. Xiao has arrived. I have already arrived at the parking lot. After listening to the servant's words, Qian Hong's face changed slightly. Take the person to the reception hall first, and say that the wife accidentally dirted her clothes while eating and was washing up. Yes. Qian Hong watched the servant run away before looking seriously at Lu Zhaozhao and saying, I'm sorry, madam. I made a hasty decision without consulting with you. I hope you can understand. Madam Xiao. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Defeating Magic with Magic. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Defeating Magic with Magic. Although Qian Hong was wary of Lu Zhaozhao, when she heard Xiao Jinglan coming to her home, she instinctively chose to protect her. Because Song Sinian cares a lot about this wife. It's okay, let's follow what you said. What do I need to do? Lu Zhaozhao looked at Qian Hong's troubled expression, still smiling gently at her. Qian Hong opened her mouth, and the explanation on her lips instantly stuck in her throat. She looked at Lu Zhaozhao with indescribable doubts in her eyes. Lu Zhaozhao raised his hand and lightly patted her shoulder. You were the butler chosen by Mr. Song. I believe in you, just like I believe in Mr. Song. Qian Hong breathed a sigh of relief and said, Madam, let's go change clothes with me. Madam Xiao pays more attention to etiquette. And when we meet, we need to dress more formally. Otherwise, it's easy for Xiao Jinglan to catch her little braid. Although Qian Hong's words were very vague, Lu Zhaozhao immediately got her point. In her past life, she was fooled by Xiao Jinglan, how could she not know? 15 minutes later, Lu Zhaozhao arrived at the reception hall. At the moment he saw Xiao Jinglan, Lu Zhaozhao wished he could immediately rush forward and tear open the face of this malicious woman. But she can't do it now. After marrying into the Song family, Xiao Jinglan had been scheming for so many years, and it was not something she could easily overthrow with just a few words. She had to take a long-term plan and destroy her step by step. As soon as she entered the door, Xiao Jinglan's gaze fell on her, completely oblivious to the hostility that flashed through her eyes. A glacier blue long-sleeved shirt paired with a black high-waisted skirt, retro yet elegant. I do know how to wear it. Xiao Jinglan's gaze swept around before falling on Lu Zhaozhao's small face. Her facial features are beautiful, and she is a beautiful embryo, especially her agile and clear eyes, which are not stained with any vulgar dust. No wonder Song Sinian got the certificate from her as soon as he met her for the first time. There are a large number of women in the entire Beijing area who have good clothing, and there are also many who have excellent temperament. However, it is rare to see women like her who have exceptional looks, temperament, and clothing. Auntie, it's really hard for you to come all the way. As soon as Lu Zhaozhao entered the door, he quickly sat next to Xiao Jinglan and said apologetically, as a junior, I should go see you first. She and Song Sinian obtained the certificate without consulting with their families, and Xiao Jinglan will definitely use this reason to scold her for being disrespectful. She spoke first, and Xiao Jinglan naturally couldn't speak. She established the image of an old white lotus in the Song family, and if she continues to hold on to it, it will actually make her appear harsh. Xiao Jinglan raised her eyebrows, and if she was about to pick a thorn, she was stuck in her throat. She waved her hand and said, You just met Sinian yesterday and received the certificate. It's normal that you didn't have much time. I came here today because you fired the servant yesterday. Lu Zhaozhao looked frightened and immediately covered his mouth. Oh my goodness. Did they say that? What? Lu Zhaozhao's reaction was a bit unexpected for Xiao Jinglan. She thought she would defend herself, throw blame, and even lose her temper, but she never expected her to look like this. This personality is completely different from what she heard from Liao Yan yesterday. Perhaps there is something she doesn't know here. Xiao Jinglan frowned slightly and raised her hand to lightly pat Lu Zhaozhao, asking as if to appease her, I'm not quite sure about yesterday. Can you tell me again? Lu Zhaozhao suppressed his disgust towards her from the bottom of his heart and looked up at Xiao Jinglan. His small hands seemed to be a bit scared as he tightened the sleeves on his arms. She lowered her head and didn't even look at Xiao Jinglan's eyes, which even turned slightly red. They made me sleep in the guest room, said I'm not qualified to be the hostess here, and even threw away my luggage and tore up my clothes. Xiao Jinglan's face flashed with a hint of astonishment. How dare they? She never expected Liao Yan to have such great courage. At this moment, Lu Zhaozhao's head was lower and his whole body even trembled slightly. Well, the butler said she was sent by the lady and asked me to behave properly in front of them in the future and not cause trouble. Xiao Jinglan's head exploded instantly. Just as she was about to explain, her hands were suddenly held by Lu Zhaozhao. However, as soon as I saw my aunt just now, I knew they were all scammers. Aunt looked so kind, how could she accuse them of bullying me? Lu Zhaozhao looked at her with a faint glint in her eyes, which made Xiao Jinglan's heart thump for a moment. She was sweating profusely, but still nodded repeatedly. These servants are so bold. They even use me as a cover. But she quickly realized, but why did Butler Liao say you fired them all? Lu Zhaozhao pursed her lips and looked bewildered. At that time, I said I would tell Mr. Song about the matter, but she said she would make me regret it, and then I didn't know. Xiao Jinglan's face darkened. If Lu Zhaozhao had explained to her in detail, she might have suspected that she had ulterior motives and deliberately set up a bureau against Liao Yan. But now she has a bewildered expression, as if she has been sold and doesn't know where she is. So it seems that Lu Zhaozhao's argument is more convincing. Liao Yan provoked Lu Zhaozhao first, fearing that Song Sinian would know and threaten Lu Zhaozhao later, otherwise Song Sinian would not have replaced her with a new butler. Liao Yan, this idiot, does she think moving her out can bring her back to the city? She knew Liao Yan was foolish before, but she never expected her to be so foolish. Xiao Jinglan gritted her teeth slightly, but still pretended to be kind on her face. She lightly patted Lu Zhaozhao's little hand and said, "Don't worry, I will definitely investigate this matter and give you a clean conscience." "Well, thank you, Auntie." Lu Zhaozhao also cooperated and tugged at the corners of her mouth. "Even if she goes back to investigate, it's okay. Liao Yan will definitely insist that she is lying, and she will also find other servants to testify in the future. The more unified their voices are, the less Xiao Jinglan will believe them. She would only feel that Liao Yan was holding chicken feathers as the arrow. Moreover, with the mixed truth she just told Xiao Jinglan, she would only doubt Liao Yan even more. After all, a well-behaved and harmless person, hysterical person, would be willing to believe in the victim, wouldn't they? Xiao Jinglan let out a light sigh and said, "You just came to the Song family and encountered such a thing, which has made you feel wronged." She waved to the accompanying assistant and saw them walking over with a few bags. She placed the gift boxes in her bag one by one on the tea table in the living room, filling 2 rows to the brim. Apart from some valuable gemstones and jade ornaments, the most eye-catching one inside is a pair of diamond rings placed in the first row. It can be seen that Xiao Jinglan has put a lot of effort into it. Her finger deliberately clicked on the edge of the ring box and said, "What about these jewelry? I picked them for you on behalf of Sinian. You know he has a cold temper, so you might not have thought of these." End of this chapter. Chapter 8. These guys really kicked the iron plate. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. These guys really kicked the iron plate. Ha. She almost said that Song Sinian was married to her and didn't even want to buy a diamond ring. Whether in her past life or present, Xiao Jinglan's methods are the same, pretending to casually belittle others and elevate herself. Previously, she did care about Song Sinian's attitude, but now she knows that Song Sinian's coldness is not due to her actions. So now, even if Xiao Jinglan talks about flowers, she won't believe them anymore. Lu Zhaozhao pretended to be obedient and nodded repeatedly, "Don't worry, Auntie. I definitely won't be at ease. I know Mr. Song and I are in a marriage alliance, and I am a nominal wife. Mr. Song's willingness to marry me is due to the smoke from our ancestral tomb. I will definitely listen to Mr. Song's words and not provoke him." Lu Zhaozhao's move is completely beyond Xiao Jinglan's control. She thought that when Lu Zhaozhao married Song Sinian, she wanted nothing more than two things. Either for money or for people. What kind of operation is she doing? Nothing. Salted fish-style marriage. Xiao Jinglan frowned a bit irritably, trying to turn the salted fish upside down. Your age is exactly the age you yearn for love, and Snian's appearance is also upright. Have you ever thought of making him fall in love with you? I also think Mr. Song looks good. Lu Zhaozhao shrugged and handed the pot over to the Lu couple. But my mother said that commercial marriages do not have love, so let me not be delusional. Xiao Jinglan felt a bit suffocated. She forced her lips and asked again, have you ever thought about letting Sinian help the Landing family develop their career? Upon hearing this, Lu Zhaozhao looked at Xiao Jinglan with an innocent expression and smiled. My dad said that girls are not qualified to interfere with family business. Let me marry and obediently listen to my husband's words. Even if Xiao Jinglan disguises herself well, she still wants to curse at the street at this moment. She guessed that the Lu couple didn't attach much importance to Lu Zhaozhao, but from what she said, it was not that they didn't attach so much importance anymore. They simply ignored Lu Zhaozhao's existence and turned her into a beautiful useless person. All the methods she calculated are now encountering her, with no room for improvement. Xiao Jinglan sighed weakly. It seemed that she could only consider the long term. She slowly stood up and said, I have something else to do. I need to go back first. In a few days, you and Sinian will go home and meet the old man. Okay, Auntie, if Mr. Song takes me there, I will definitely be obedient. Upon hearing Lu Zhaozhao's words, Xiao Jinglan's feet shook and she almost sprained. Now her mood is even worse. Lu Zhaozhao watched Xiao Jinglan leave like a defeated rooster, and his heart had already blossomed with joy. Her marriage this time can be considered permanent since her wife was set up in Xiao Jinglan. She estimates that she will not come to trouble her again in the short term. She needs to hurry up and take advantage of Xiao Jinglan's attention before she can draw her cards one by one. She must guard Song Sinian this time. What Lu Zhaozhao didn't know was that her performance just now not only made Xiao Jinglan take it seriously, but even the butler Qian Hong took it seriously. She even added fuel to the fire by reporting Xiao Jinglan's situation to Zhao Shi because she felt too sorry for Lu Zhaozhao. Ding! 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 A series of message prompts rang in the quiet office. Zhao Shi originally didn't want to pay attention, but the frequency of the news was really too high. He couldn't help feeling a little flustered. Not many people know this number, and the people associated with this number are all related to Lu Zhaozhao. Zhao Shi glanced at the person who was sending the message. His eyes were about to widen. Surprisingly, it was Qian Hong. Could it be that something happened to Lu Zhaozhao? Qian Hong is an old man from the late lady's side, who is well behaved and steady in his actions. He can't imagine anything that could make her send messages crazily. Song Sinian naturally also noticed Zhao Shi's abnormality. His deep voice slowly rang out in the quiet office, "What's going on?" Zhao Shi's gaze shifted away from his phone and summarized briefly, Mrs. Xiao went to see her and asked her why she fired the servant. She said she was being bullied by the servant and even gave her a lot of jewelry to comfort her. Song Sinian immediately got to the key point. Did a servant bully her? He only heard her say yesterday that he had driven away all the servants, thinking it was because she didn't like those people, so he didn't ask much. He thought she didn't like it, so he changed everything. I didn't expect those people to bully her. The air pressure in the office suddenly dropped, cold and ominous, condensing in the air. Zhao Shi coughed lightly and continued, I heard they made my wife sleep in the guest room, threw away her luggage, and tore through her clothes. I have to say that these people dare to do anything. Zhao Shi sighed lightly. Probably these servants were so audacious because their master never asked about the house, right? Sir, I think. Just as he was about to speak, he heard Song Sinian's voice ring in the office. Since they can't fulfill their duties as servants, it's useless to keep those hands and feet, isn't it? His tone was cold and filled with a suffocating aura. Ah. Song Sinian lowered his eyelids and added, don't let any of them appear in front of my wife again. Yes, sir. Zhao Shi expected their husband to get angry, but he didn't expect it to be so serious. These guys really kicked the iron plate. He let out a light sigh, hesitated for a moment, and then spoke again, thinking of the other news he had just seen. Sir, the news you asked me to investigate yesterday is now clear, Zhao Shi said as he placed the document in his hand in front of Song Sinian. From childhood to adulthood, my wife has never interacted with anyone, but she has been pursued by many people. Among the opposite sex who have interacted with my wife, these are the lists of people who have already died or are about to die. Looking at the list of people in front of him, Song Sinian fell into contemplation. She hasn't dated anyone before. Why did she cry so badly? Is that person her crush? Zhao Shi saw that Song Sinian didn't say anything, so he handed over another document to him and said, Sir, this is a personal investigation about my wife. It seems that my wife is not as favored as the outside world claims. Song Sinian glanced at Zhao Shi, who was hesitant to speak, and opened the information. And these are messages from the money steward, I think it's necessary to let the gentleman know. Zhao Shi also placed his phone in front of him. The second half of the conversation between Xiao Jinglan and Lu Zhaozhao is on the phone. He used to think that Lu Zhaozhao was a spoiled young lady, but now it seems that she is a pitiful little girl who has been PUA by her parents since childhood. No wonder even the servants dare to bully her. Zhao Shi silently glanced at Song Sinian. Lu Zhaozhao had been subjected to cold violence by the Lu couple all year round, and he should have needed a more considerate husband, but their husband. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Breaking through iron shoes and finding no place to find, obtaining all without effort. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Breaking through iron shoes and finding no place to find, obtaining all without effort. It doesn't seem to fit well. Song Sinian lightly tapped on the information with his fingertips and said, Can you help me make an appointment with Dr. Tian today? What? Zhao Shi was taken aback by the fact that their husband had taken the initiative to see a doctor. In the past, I used to procrastinate until I could no longer see a doctor. Perhaps. Maybe Lu Zhaozhao can really help their husband. For several days in a row, Lu Zhaozhao never saw Song Sinian again. She originally wanted to strengthen her relationship with him before the start of school, but now that we can't see each other, how can we increase our favorability? Lu Zhaozhao sighed and leaned against the single sofa in the living room, holding a pillow. Madam, this is a dessert newly developed by the chef, which is very suitable for drinking afternoon tea. Qian Hong placed the dessert brought by the servant on the table and poured a cup of black tea for Lu Zhaozhao. Since Xiao Jinglan came to the Song family, Lu Zhaozhao has found that Qian Hong has become much more friendly to her. To be precise, there is often a motherly affection in the way she looks at her. Is it because of what she said to Xiao Jinglan last time? Lu Zhaozhao picked up the spoon and poked a spoonful of cake, a little guilty. Although what she said is true, once she knows the truth, it can no longer cause harm to her. She is not the biological daughter of the Lu family, and it is understandable that they do not love her. She can ignore it. But they calculated that she must repay this account. Lu Zhaozhao took another bite of the dessert before looking up at Qian Hong and saying, Aunt Qian, this dessert is really delicious. Please help me thank the chef. Okay, the chef will also be very happy to hear this. It's rare for the host to be willing to praise his cooking skills. Qian Hong smiled with relief. The former head of the Song family had no specific dietary requirements, and it was rare to have a wife who loved desserts and had a pleasant temper. The chefs at home were all working hard. Aunt Qian, did Mr. Song say when he will be back? Lu Zhaozhao put down the fork in his hand, picked up the tea cup on the table, and asked casually. Qian Hong pondered for a moment and cautiously replied, "Sir, we need to go on a business trip temporarily, and the specific date of return has not been determined yet." The couple had just gotten married, and Song Sinian went on a business trip, which was indeed a significant blow to Lu Zhaozhao, who had lived in a family without love since childhood. Looking at Lu Zhaozhao, who was clearly feeling a bit disappointed, Qian Hong seemed to suddenly think of something and quickly brought over a bunch of invitation letters. "Madam, these invitation letters are for both Mr. and Mrs. The Mr. is currently on a business trip and has no time. Mrs. can choose a place she is willing to attend." Lu Zhaozhao received more than 10 invitation letters in a days. This is something she has never encountered before in her past life. In her past life, when she lived in the old house of the Song family, it was Xiao Jinglan who overshadowed her. Even if she lived with Song Sinian, she was still bullied by Liao Yan. Now think about it, although she was Mrs. Song in her past life, she never truly possessed Mrs. Song's rights. Lu Zhaozhao briefly flipped through the invitation letter, but his gaze suddenly paused. This is the invitation letter for the nationwide auction that caused a sensation. It's really hard to find a place to break through the iron shoes and get them without any effort. Qian Hong naturally noticed Lu Zhaozhao's gaze and asked softly, "Is Madam going to participate in this art auction?" Lu Zhaozhao regained consciousness and nodded. She handed the invitation letter to Qian Hong and said, "Aunt Qian, can you help me arrange it?" Qian Hong smiled and said, "Of course, if Madam has anything she likes, she can take pictures under the name of the Song family, and someone will settle the accounts later." Lu Zhaozhao waved his hand repeatedly and said, "No, no, I just want to go there and take a look." Qian Hong understood immediately, and Lu Zhaozhao probably didn't want to be too eye-catching. After all, she hasn't attended much of the social circles in Beijing before. Qian Hong nodded and said, "Then everything will be according to my wife's ideas." "Well, thank you, Aunt Qian." In the evening, the lanterns are shining brightly. The old mansion of the Song family. Mr. Song sat on the sofa in the living room, his gray brows furrowed as he stared at Xiao Jinglan. "Last time I asked you to go to see the situation at Snian's place, why did Snian go on a business trip directly after you went? Why did he go there for so long? Xiao Jinglan is really speechless. Last time she went to Song Sinian's house, she also got a bad deal. This old thing just doesn't need to go by herself. After sending her, we still need her to take the blame. What kind of person is Song Sinian? Is he not clear in his own heart?" Xiao Jinglan wished she could curse Mr. Song 800 times in her heart, but she still had a gentle and smiling face on her face. "Dad, Sinian may just be busy." "What are you busy with? Don't I know what's going on in the company?" Mr. Song held his cane and fiercely poked it on the ground, making a thud-thud sound. Before, even a small butler could run to the old house of the Song family and tell the owner, "Right. How does your family manage it? You can't even manage a few servants well." Xiao Jinglan's delicate nails clenched her palm tightly and lowered her head, saying, "I'm sorry, Dad. I didn't know that butler was so bold. She usually disguises herself too well." Mr. Song clearly didn't like this trick. He snorted coldly and said, "Humph. You disguised yourself too well. Do you know that my granddaughter-in-law is almost gone?" If it weren't for Qian Hong reporting the situation of Lu Zhaozhao, he wouldn't have known that a small butler would dare to let the master sleep with the guest. Song Sinian's illness will definitely not be a concern. When it comes to rounding it up, he will be equivalent to losing the opportunity to hold a great-grandson. Xiao Jinglan's mouth twitched, her head pressed even lower. Who wanted Lu Zhaozhao to deal with someone when they heard that Lu Zhaozhao had impure thoughts on the first day of junior high school? Now that he knew it was the butler who was causing trouble, he ended up being a granddaughter-in-law. As soon as Xiao Jinglan thought of this, her anger rushed out. She knew that what Mr. Song cared about the most was Song Sinian. Even though she had served him wholeheartedly for so many years, his inclination toward Song Sinian did not shift to her at all. Xiao Jinglan took a deep breath and said, "Dad, don't be angry. Sinian's wife is so well behaved, maybe she will be taken back to her old house by Sinian in a few days." Although she said so, she knew that the possibility was almost zero. Song Sinian never took the initiative to return to his old house, and even if he did, he would stare blankly. Mr. Song didn't know how to communicate with him at all. If it weren't for Song Sinian's illness, her second married daughter-in-law would have been kicked out long after his son passed away. Xiao Jinglan's eyes narrowed, and a hint of malice flashed in her eyes as she thought of the completely different attitude that Mr. Song had towards her and Lu Zhaozhao just now. "Dad, I heard that Sun Yan is going to attend a banquet in Nanjing tomorrow. Why don't I have someone send Zhao over and let the young couple meet? Also, let Mrs. Song brush her face in the circle. What do you think?" End of this chapter. Chapter 10. She really has to wait and see. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. She really has to wait and see. She is not sure why Song Sinian went on a business trip as soon as she got married. But she knew how terrifying it was for Song Sinian to be disturbed while working. This kind of banquet is no different from work for him. If she didn't say hello at all, she would send people over, as you can imagine. However, Mr. Song was also aware of this, so Xiao Jinglan continued, "I will have someone tell Xin Yan in advance that a farewell will be better than a new marriage, and maybe there will be good news." Upon hearing Xiao Jinglan's words, Mr. Song's face improved a bit and he said, Let's do it this way." "I'll arrange it first," Xiao Jinglan said, getting up and leaving the living room. She had just mentioned in front of Mr. Song that she would notify Song Sinian in advance, but if someone accidentally forgets to pass on the message in the middle. No wonder she is a newly married wife who was neglected by her husband, dressed up to attend a banquet but ignored by her husband. Tsk thinking about it, I feel like Lu Zhaozhao is a little pitiful. Can she still be so salty when the time comes? She really needs to wait and see. The next noon, while Lu Zhaozhao was still asleep, he was picked up by Xiao Jinglan's people. It seems that she didn't want to be in touch with the outside world. When she was sent to the makeup salon, she even had her phone taken away. Lu Zhaozhao thought that playing dumb in front of Xiao Jinglan last time would make her calm down for a while. Now the entire makeup salon is probably filled with people from Xiao Jinglan, so it's better for her to be careful. "Mrs. Song, you are so beautiful. Mr. Song will definitely be restless when he sees you later." The makeup artist put on her makeup and couldn't forget to praise Lu Zhaozhao crazily. Lu Zhaozhao pretended to be shy and tugged at the corners of his mouth, tentatively asking, "What is the main purpose of the banquet later on? I didn't elaborate on my aunt's delivery just now." "Mrs. Song, you're really good at joking. It must be Mr. Song who missed you, that's why he sent you over, right?" "Yeah, Mrs. Song doesn't have to worry. It's just a charity dinner, and besides dressing beautifully and holding Mr. Song's arm, she doesn't have to do anything. Mr. Song will be so happy to see his wife soon." In the dressing room, several women chattered incessantly, but they only emphasized two key points repeatedly. One was Song Sinian, who took the initiative to ask her to come. Another is that Song Sinian will definitely be delighted with her arrival. If it weren't for accompanying these people in acting, Lu Zhaozhao would have wanted to burst into laughter. In her past life, Xiao Jinglan enjoyed doing things like suppressing desires and promoting them first. Make her full of anticipation for meeting Song Sinian, and then be fiercely slapped in the face. Over and over again, consuming all her passion and hope, she became the obedient string puppet in her hands. But now it seemed so ridiculous. They took her phone away in order to prevent her from verifying the authenticity of the information during her free time. It seems that Song Sinian still doesn't know that she has arrived. Should she inform him first? Lu Zhaozhao pondered for a moment, but suddenly remembered his past life. It seemed that no matter what happened to her in front of him, he had never vented his anger on her. At that time, due to the large psychological gap, she only focused on sadness and completely ignored this. Mrs. Song, what do you think of this dress? It's a top-tier female celebrity and supermodel celebrity who loves Ralph haute couture dresses. Wearing it on Mrs. Song is simply amazing. Mrs. Song's figure is simply amazing, Mr. Song is simply too happy. Mrs. Song will definitely amaze the entire charity dinner later, and many people will envy Mr. Song. Lu Zhaozhao regained his senses and glanced at the attire in the mirror, his eyes flickering slightly. The bright gauze dress with a hollowed-out back, a gorgeous floral skirt hem, and raindrops of crystal dripping on the hem of the skirt are truly stunning. She had to admit that Xiao Jinglan had indeed put in a lot of effort to dress her up. This Ralph haute couture dress has at least 8 digits, and the person who applied her makeup is also a well-known top makeup artist in the entertainment industry. Except for a bit of noise in my ear, everything else is really good. Since they have all been dressed up, she naturally needs to cooperate well with them. Lu Zhaozhao's watery eyes curved with a smile, and there was an indescribable expectation between his eyebrows and eyes. When will I be able to see Mr. Song? I don't know if he will be very busy. Upon hearing Lu Zhaozhao's words, several people looked at each other as if they had received a signal. In the end, the makeup artist just said, "How could that be? Mr. Song must be eager to see you now. Don't worry, Mrs. Song. We will arrange for you to go to the banquet now." "Okay, thank you all." Lu Zhaozhao nodded at her, but his gaze carefully scanned the faces of several people. Her action is too abrupt, which makes the makeup artist feel guilty. She awkwardly tugged at the corner of her mouth and asked nervously, "Song, is Mrs. Song dissatisfied?" Lu Zhaozhao shook his head and chuckled lightly. "It's nothing, I just want to remember everyone's looks, so I can tell Mr. Song later. After all, everyone is so great, isn't it? Dot. Dot. Dot." Although Lu Zhaozhao's words sound like good words, I don't know why she always feels a chill in her back after listening to them. Perhaps they were overthinking it. The makeup salon was not far from the venue where the banquet was held, so within 15 minutes, Lu Zhaozhao arrived at the banquet venue. As expected, Song Sinian had not yet arrived. Although many people have already attended the charity dinner, for someone like Song Sinian who doesn't like socializing at all, he definitely won't come a minute earlier. Lu Zhaozhao sighed and walked directly to the bench next to the food supply. If it were in her past life, she must have been eagerly searching for Song Sinian. Without a phone and an invitation letter, she will definitely be taken away for identity verification, and with the bug of Xiao Jinglan, they will detain her until Song Sinian appears. She is Song Sinian's newlywed wife, and no one knows her. They can easily use this as an excuse. This group of trash is just playing with a little girl like her who doesn't understand the world. It's really despicable. But she will never do such a foolish thing again. Lu Zhaozhao picked up a small plate of cake and poked a quick bite with a fork, stuffing it into his mouth. The sweet and glutinous taste instantly improved her mood. Thinking of seeing Song Sinian on a business trip for several days later, her appetite also improved a lot. "Excuse me for bothering you, beautiful lady. Are you also attending the charity dinner alone?" Suddenly, a familiar voice came over. Lu Zhaozhao's eyes trembled slightly as he instinctively turned to the source of the voice. Is it him? How could he appear here? End of this chapter.